Great. Well, we've come to the end, to the last session, the closing session of today. And we're going to end with a slightly more visionary perspective on the intersection between technology and humans and how that's informing and driving consumer and human behavior. Please welcome David Shing, who's a digital prophet and visionary. And David, over to you, and we're looking forward to hearing from you.
Much, mate. Hi, guys. Okay, that's not good enough. Hello, hello, hello. Holy shit, I just came from New York City, so I'd like to say hi to you guys. It's hot here, and thanks very much for that. Secondly, I've been here for half a day, and I'm having a massive anxiety attack. Why? Because of this. Fintech surge. When we talk about finance, the challenge with me, we forget about the human. And so I want to spend some time talking about the human. Let me just get my slides up for you. I'm just going to give you a visual end. I'm going to wrap up in 45 minutes all of the things that you're seeing out here for the next 5 days. Are we good with that? One other thing I promise you is this. I promise you... Can I get my slides? Thanks, brother. Let me just make sure I have sound for you, because why would I not want to have a presentation that has sound for you? But I do promise you this. All I want you to do is sit and enjoy a little bit of time talking about the human behavior. I also want to talk about how you can think about things laterally and how technology can be at the heart of all of those things that we need to connect with. So let me just do this for you. Are we good? Can I get my slides up, please? That's a maybe. Awesome. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Shingy. I'm from New York. I'm not from around here. I have come here about a dozen times. I've just figured this place out. It's not necessarily the architecture, it's not the design, it's not the food, it's not the fact that you have dinner at midnight. It's the humans that power this city in a way that makes me feel incredible. It also makes me feel that this region is the only thing people talk about. So I get to travel the world, it's part of my job. Everybody talks about what goes on in the Mideast. Awesome, congratulations. Let's talk about humans. If you've just entered this industry, if you are one of these, if you're thinking about planet Earth, there are no passengers. We are absolutely all crew. Things are incredibly difficult today and very difficult to understand what I mean by that. So let me just talk about this. I've heard 2 sessions that talked about, one, open data. Firstly, I don't get paid for my open data, so I'd like to re-energize that. The second thing is AI and ethics. The challenge I find is this. We all think we're interconnected. I think that's rubbish. Why? Because at the end of the day, we're actually very separated as humans. And why does that feel like that's the case? Because it's simply this. We're at the cusp of the 4th industrial revolution. I'm going to promise you that we're more disconnected than we experience, but I'm going to wrap it up with something that doesn't feel so sad at the end. The 4th industrial revolution. Awesome. You know what it's powered by, right? Well, the 1st industrial revolution was really just an element of this. Steam. And then along came electricity, and then, of course, computing. And now we're thinking about intelligence. And now, intelligence has been coming for 10 years. So the fact that we today talk about intelligence as the baseline of where you're headed, you're late. All we have is a graphical user interface in front of it today, and now we think it's a seismic change, not necessarily. How's the pace? Are you guys okay with how fast I'm rolling at the moment? Thank you. Nod from another human, another... Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here's where we go. If we think about automation, very simply, we don't need a dozen people to tell you where automation's headed. If you, in your mind, are already thinking that automation's happening, guess what? If it can be automated, it will be automated. Period, full stop. So if you're sitting there today saying, will it be automated? Yeah, and it's already happening. So let's move on to doing something else in your fabulous, elevated career. All right, guys. I'm a designer. Big surprise. What the heck is a designer doing speaking to you as something that's about fintech? Well, I've had an illustrious career doing many other things. Anybody in this room know what those are? What are they, young lady? What sort of markers are they? Pantone. That is how we used to design stuff back in the day. And here's what's amazing, man. I graduated at the last school of traditional graphic design. Yeah, I have a design consultancy practice. When people want to talk to me about fonts, I nerd out on those things. I'm not just a futurist. But here's what's amazing. This is an industry that was going to collapse the design industry. Anybody know what DTP was? It's an acronym for this bloody thing, desktop publishing. When I graduated from design, they said, dude, you are dead. Why? Because desktop publishing is going to destroy every single designer. Does anybody in here believe that design is dead? Absolutely not. It is hot. I live in a great industry, man. And what's incredible is that design is far from dead. Let me explain something before we go here. Who knows what this is? Who had one of these? Yeah, some of you old enough. Thank you very much indeed. Who bought a ringtone back in the day? Young lady, you are way too young for this. Okay, when you bought a ringtone, how much was it? You're in Italy, and how much was it roughly? Give me a US dollar or something I can understand. 50 cents? You are cheap. I paid like $1.99 for my ringtone. You guys too? And here's what's amazing about that. Anybody know how big this industry was? This industry was absolutely massive in 2006. Just think about the history of the smartphone, right? 2006, $6 billion. Overnight, that thing went to almost zero. So who's in a startup in here real quick? One person who I picked on. Brilliant. Here's what happens. When I get pitched by a lot of companies, a lot of them are startups, and a lot of them happen in what? Blockchain, NFT, W3. Big surprise. Crypto. Beautiful. They all get thrown into the same category. This is what people present. They present this stuff, and I'm like, hey, there's only one thing that's really going to matter. Timing. The rest of it, pitch deck. So timing. Why is now the most perfect time? Well, you heard it. If you've been here this afternoon, you've already heard it from two other descriptors. One is about ethics. The other one is about how you're going to think about your open data. By the way, who gets paid today with their open data? Nobody. It's not here yet, man. We're waiting for that shuttle to land. So we have to move on to understand what it means. Okay, here's what happens. People say, oh my God, he's talking about disruption. Yeah. But if you're just sitting in a company talking about disruption, guess what's happening? You're being disrupted. So here's what people then talk about. Oh, I need to talk about your brand experience. Okay, awesome. That's not true. What we're here to talk about is transformation. Now, why is transformation important? Well, if I think about it, it all starts with you. Who in here has a job? Hopefully most people. Are there some unemployed people in here? Looking for jobs probably? It's on a Sunday. I guess that's why we're rolling like that. You know what I'm saying? So here's the deal, dude. It turns out that the vast majority of humans on planet Earth do not like their job. Yep, sorry, it is what it is. Some of you love it, right? I'm sure you're into it. I'm here for you. Guess what? You're going to spend 80% of your waking life at work. Woohoo! So if you don't like your job, I recommend you find another one, which is awesome because there's a billion of them hanging out here. But here's what's up. We are talking about ethics. So there was an ethic discussion earlier. Thank you. From legal, but I do never want your job. You are awesome at what you do. We are the polar opposites of the spectrum of Fintech, by the way. But here is where I'm at. I know about humans, and there's a personal care curve. You cannot sit in the middle anymore. You have to believe in something, which is why, as I've already walked a bunch of these halls, people are so impassioned about the things that they're doing, because these are the ones that love their job. But you also have to worry about your career curve. And so I'm giving you all of this as fodder for where I'm going. I want to talk about humans, as I said. What makes people happy in the workplace? Does anybody know? Money is not high on that list, by the way. But hey, we're not friends yet, so I'm just going to tell you what they are without going through this survey. It's about contribution. People want to do things in their job that feel like they're moving the industry forward. True or false? Absolutely bloody true. And then this, recognition. If I'm actually going to be contributing, recognize me. True or false? True. That's the only two things that make people happy at work. Oh, that and free food, apparently. Ugh. But there's a new one. Authenticity, man. People want things to be real. That's why you're going to see about 90% of the content here is not just about AI, it's about AI and ethics and how it's going to change the industry, disrupt, transform, and give you experiences you never thought of before. That's why I'm doing this thing in 45 minutes to give you an entire 5 days worth of content. I'll give you these slides too because there's no use taking this stuff down, guys. Authenticity. Here's the reality. I think we're disconnected though. Here's why. As humans, we started as hunters and gatherers. I just recently realized That slide as a hunter and gatherer is me still. I mean, my mullet looks just like that, which is very sad. But when we were hunter and gatherers, guess what? We spent 15 hours a week working. 15 hours a week. Today, we're told we do 40 hours a week. True or false? Who here only works 40 hours a week? I want your job, if you're that person, by the way. I'm here for it, dude. But I work probably close to 100 hours a week, and that's why I'm so damn exhausted, it feels. But here's what I find fascinating. The whole idea of the Industrial Revolution, automation, technology, seismic changes in industry was going to do what? Give us more time. Does it? Absolutely not. You all look exhausted, by the way. This is day one. Calm down. We have a long way to go on this marathon, my friends. And here's where we head. This is the problem. There's this constant state of fuzzy. All this technology, all this rapid change. If I was here with you last year, what would we have talked about only? Web3, blockchain, NFT, crypto. True or false? AI? Was AI a hot topic last year? Absolutely not. Why? Because it's already here. So my challenge for you is think about this constant state of fuzzy. Calm down. We have a long way to go. This is not just magic. We have a long way to go. And I also believe that this allows us to understand that we have to think about humans in the wild. So I'm going to get there. This great resignation that happened globally isn't the truth. It's a great reevaluation. We're all wondering why we're here on Earth. And can technology help me? Well, the workplace has changed, the workflow has changed, and our workforce has changed. Anybody move jobs in the last 4 years? Anybody move locations in the last 4 years? Bunch of us. So this is already, anybody work 5 days a week in an office anymore? You do? I apologize and I'm sorry for you, my brother. Because that's not kind of where we're headed. People are trying that for sure, but most people still need a little bit of solitude to make that happen. Anybody work for a DAO? So again, if I was here speaking to you last year, we would have talked about decentralized autonomous organizations. Those things are better known as, 25 years ago, were called co-ops. Not new. It's just a new terminology for the way that we think everybody should have skin in the game. Everybody should be autonomous, and everybody should have a work-life balance, and in the middle there is this little old thing called utopia. Awesome. I can't wait to visit it. I'm far from there. Why? Well, let me tell you why. People have changed. We want people to be kind, give back, and care about social issues. And I don't mean that as a pure person, I also mean that as brands. Okay. Anybody in here use emojis? All of you. Why? You all use Samsung too, which I'm here for, dude. I'm totally here for the Androids, apparently. But here's what's amazing about that. When you use emojis, here is the #1 emoji that keeps on rolling around. Sad face. Whatever happened to this? Tears of joy. Very rarely does that bad boy turn up in mine. And if it does turn up in yours, God bless. But here's where I think it's amazing. That's the one I really use all the time. I'm on the verge of bursting into tears every day. But here's what I think is amazing to me. There's also this thing that's happening around digital withdrawal. I promise you, and I want you to just think about this a little bit. Nostalgia. Okay, so this futurist rolled into this conference today, and I'm here to talk about nostalgia. Does that word translate okay with you guys? You know what I mean when I say nostalgia, yeah? Okay, so nostalgia is this. Who owns a record player? The same people that have ringtones, right? Hey brother, did you buy a record recently, an LP? No. When was the last time you bought one? 1 or 2 years ago. Okay. And what did you pay for it, roughly? How much did you pay for that LP, that record? About the same price you paid if you were 15, like when you were a kid. This industry is absolutely massive. Just to give you a sense of that, this is almost $2 billion. I'll give you another one. Anybody see people on the street with these? Analogue cameras, dude. Totally way back. They're here. It's a $4 billion industry. Who knew? There's something about nostalgia that gives us comfort. So as you walk around these halls and you get absolutely inundated with this massive amount of digital culture, which I live in, understand that our human behaviors want to also push away from that and calm down and use visceral experiences. We're not all just going to hang out in the metaverse. I promise you, we are not. So here's the reality. This was a surging app on TikTok last year. An app that turns your iPhone into an iPod. Talk about retro, man. The kids are here to understand what's up. And this is where I find it fascinating. We are looking for the joy in the little things. What a basic presentation I'm giving you. But this is something that I want you to think about as you move on for the next 4 days. I want you to think about what this really means. Now, if you want to harass me tonight, as we go to happy hour, whatever happens after this, because it's hot in here, dude, I really need to drink. If you want to harass me, these are the things people love to talk to me about. AR, VR, MR, privacy, security, blockchain, NFT, crypto, schemas, the block. Awesome. That's not what I want to talk about. I only want to talk about fun. I got into this industry for fun, man. Where is the fun? So for me, I think the fundamental challenge that we need to work on is trust. Not just trust in AI, not just trust in open data. We need trust. You need to trust me. I need to trust you. I need to trust the system. I need to trust media. It lacks, man. So where does this go? If any of you in here are emerging technologists, please focus on the 360 degrees of humans. Not the one single thing that you do incredibly well. Because if you stick in your lane, probably not going to work out that well for you. And when you discuss things like what do we do as an omni-channel strategy, think about ecosystems. And this will all make sense when I send you the PDF because I promise I'll have the details in the data. Here's the deal. According to Harvard, all of us are one of these people. So as you sit here and say, I'm really trying to target all these humans, well, those 8 billion humans on planet Earth all fall into these categories somehow. You have to think about these humans in the wild. But if you're like me, I think about Maslow. I'm a little bit like a hippie, I guess. I love the idea of, everything other than the only thing that needs to be updated from this is high-speed internet. And I'm good, man. That still thinks about humans. But I can tell you that technology has changed my behavior. Yes, but what it hasn't changed are my needs. My needs are rooted in my DNA as humans. Awesome. So what? We're into this 10 minutes. So what, Shingy? So what? I'm glad you asked. The so what for me is this. I'm from Australia. That's the town I'm from. That's my house. That's me at 17. I'm of a generation that when you bought a car, I'm also the first planker on planet Earth, just heads up. When you bought a car, joke to self. That's when I had freedom, independence, and self-expression, when I bought a car. Those days are over, aren't they? Why? Because it turns out that 37% of children under the age of 2 can operate a swiping device better than a parent. Who here has children? Whose children have tablets? Do they operate their tablet like that? And when you give them analog, they think that's busted. That's just the generation we're moving into. It's incredible. So, if you worry about millennials, the millennials have aged out, dude. Aged out. You now have to worry about who? Generation Alpha. How old are they? 13. Imagine being 13 today. What a time that would be. Rock and roll, dude. But here's what's amazing about these guys. There's the reason you need to worry about this particular audience, there's tons of them coming. There's almost 3 million of them born per week, and most of them are coming from Asia, as you know. So it's part of your background. So are we talking about these consumers that just consume content? Nuh-uh-uh. Those days are well over. We're talking about this, the creator, the critic, and the curator of experiences. We're talking about the slash generation. So while we're all sitting here thinking, well, what are we doing, what are we doing? We have to worry about these critters. People that are so empowered that they understand that they're in control. Not you, and not the machine. They are. Because they're this. They've got a tiny device that looks like this, that does way better than the stuff that I spent years crafting. And they do things like this. This is an extreme selfie. I don't know about you. This gives me massive pause. This is the second tallest building in Hong Kong. Extreme selfies, man. But it's not the extreme selfie. It's the extreme self. As you spend time in like the W3 hall and you look at fashion and what happens with avatars, people can express themselves in these 3D worlds way more interesting apparently than the real world. But I question that. So your job, as you think about what moves forward, all these audiences want are 3 things. They want to be inspired, they want to be educated, and they want to be entertained. Period, full stop. If you aren't doing those 3 things within the category of those 8 billion people on planet Earth, and the fastest growing category is alpha, probably not that relevant. And their world, as you know, is completely imperfect. So, I'm in the ads business. I'm a creative. Big surprise. Check this out. When was the last time somebody clicked? Anybody in the ads business, by the way? Anybody on ad tech? Anybody in MarTech? Here's what happens. Thank you. 1. When was the last time anybody in here clicked on an ad? Show my hand if you clicked on an ad in the last month. Some of you. Was it put your hand up if it was a social platform. Okay, put your hand up if it was the open internet that you clicked on an ad. Right, 0.001% of us. People care about friends. They also just care about peer-to-peers. They just care about word of mouth. Old school technologies, man, are absolutely fabulously updated and current today. Who has 2 smartphones in here? Ooh. Is your smartphone, brother with the big hand up? Your 2 phones, you have one for work and one for play? Like one's personal, one's work? Something like that? You could just rubber band that together because that's called life all of a sudden. Here's what's happening. I've never been in a country where there's 99% penetration of mobile here. It's absolutely enormous. And there's a bunch of you running around with 2 phones, which I totally accept. How many times per day do you think you'd tool around with your phone? How many times do you open it, close it, try and get face recognition to work, fiddle around with it, touch it, pick it up, text? It's about 1,500 times per day. Doesn't that make you depressed? Unless, of course, you're in mobile technologies. God bless. And then I find all of this overwhelming, and then find it underwhelming because I can't find what I'm looking for anymore. And here's the reality. One of the largest contributors to stress today is media overload. So the stuff that we're producing to create efficiencies and better connections for humans is actually stressing them out and potentially killing them. So we have to worry about that as we build these contagious technologies, my friends. But here's the reality. Anybody check their screen time on any of their devices? Anybody get stressed out by that? Yeah, I certainly do. By the way, that is not real data. Yeah, but I can tell you there's 150 apps out there telling you you're spending too much time on your screens. So here's the harsh reality. There are technologies that I'm watching that are like this, a block of plastic. It's the shape, size, and weight of an iPhone. It's called the No Phone. It is fabulous. So if you want to take a little time off your technology, you go out in the great outdoors with a chunk of plastic in your pocket, man. You fiddle with that thing all day. Isn't that amazing? Or this. This is what happens today, doesn't it? There's a term for this. And it only takes 2 of us. If you and I are deep in a conversation, this good-looking guy front row, if we're in a conversation, dude, and you pull out your phone like that, I'd be like, what happened? I thought we were having a human moment. Doesn't happen. Today, we're just like, whatever, dude, I'm way less important, apparently, than this device. You know how many people it takes to, you know how you walk past somewhere and everyone's looking up? You're like, what the heck is everyone looking for? It takes 5 people to participate in that. 5. But it takes 2 of us to get super annoyed super fast, and it's called fubbing. So that's how we ignore each other, just by simply fubbing at each other. And I find that to be fascinating to me. So I'm here to tell you that given I'm in the media space, I'm in the ad space, that everything is an ad. Everything is an ad. It doesn't matter whether it's a transaction. When you think about transactions, there was a cat up here from MasterCard is sponsoring this room. Every time you do a transaction, the ding that you hear at the terminal, that's a brand sound, dude. Everything is a transaction, and everything is an ad. So the consciousness that I want to sort of speak about for a couple of minutes is this. Everything that we're trying to do and engage is very basic. It's sight, sound, and motion. To do what? To create emotion. Why? Because I come from the industry of ads, and it used to be big ads, little content, and now it's just massive content, little ads. In fact, if you think about this industry, it used to be $16 billion. In 2022, the advertising industry total market was $16 billion. It's headed towards $1 trillion in 2026, and half of that's dedicated to content marketing. So if you're working in ad tech or anything that's got to do with advertising generally, it has to be content related, otherwise people are going to ignore it. And look, here's what's interesting. I give you this because I'm a brand guy. Yet, we're having brand fatigue, so what happens is that I find universally, globally, people are installing ad blockers. Does anybody have an ad blocker on their phone? Oh, wow, you kill me. Anybody have an ad blocker on their desktop? Oh, the industry is in trouble. So we did a bad service to you to have to install technologies that block our communication path. That's why the content marketing industry is absolutely ripe to take off. So let's talk about this connected human real quick. Who am I talking about? Am I talking about this dude? No, I am not. That was me in about 2014. I'm not that anymore. I'm more like this. Very subtle technologies that are penetrating our lives and giving us the ability to feel like we're super intelligent. Stay with me. IoT. Anybody in the IoT space? It's not Internet of Things, is it? Nope. It's the Internet of everything. Everything is now part of this industry. Why? There's 127 different products launched in this category per second. So if you don't think this is for real, it is for real. And I want to show you some. This is a teddy bear called the Guardian. If you have a sick kid, you can hold this teddy bear. It reads its biometric and will tell you how sick it is before you rush it to hospital. Awesome. That's humanized technology. And if we think about this, these are little tiny buttons that come from the Nordics that allow you to press a button and automate your blinds, your playlists, anything that you want can be done by a little button as opposed to sucking up all your cell phone battery life. So you can be really subtle about it. Things like this. A toothbrush. This is a toothbrush that'll brush all your teeth all at the same time. Because apparently we've been wasting 8 minutes of brushing our teeth per day. Who knew? Or you've got this sort of technology. This is a smart Tupperware. So this is a smart food container. You put your groceries into this container and it will ping you the best use by date so you can use up all of your agriculture so you don't have agri waste. They look like retro products. In fact, the Tag Heuer version, if you don't like their smart technology, you hand it back, they'll give you the analog watch version. So these technologies are amazing. However, there is some, in my mind, some incredible things that are happening. Running technology, the ability to, as you run, instead of looking down and finding out you're in bad traffic, this has haptics to tell you can run left or right. Pretty amazing. You've got this one, let me go back, that. This is a wearable that will help the sight impaired navigate streets. I think that's pretty dope. You've got this called Pavlov. This is a shockable wearable. This is a habit-breaking wearable. So it'll shock you if you do something you said you weren't going to do, which I think is pretty dope in its biometrics. You've got wearables that allow you to get sunscreen red. I need this wearable from where I got out of the car today to walking here. Nobody told me that was going to be 20 minutes of a burning hell. So then this is sunscreen. It'll ping you and tell you when you should be topping up your sunscreen because we don't think about those things. These are subtle technologies. A bunch of people don't wear wearables. Why? Because it doesn't fit your vibe. Doesn't fit your look. So you can go and update these things and colorize them. This is e-ink in fashionable rings. Marvelous technology. Intelligence. You've got haptic platable wearables. You've got things you can put on to make your experience even more immersive than just putting things on your hands. Incredible technologies that are out there. Like this, Poly. This is the ability to walk in somewhere. It uses your face to recognize whether you're a customer and whether you need to pay or whether you can just leave. So it's using this facial recognition in a way to think about it. I have an ethics question around that, but let's deal with what we deal with. Intelligence can happen in your living room. If you've got some of these smart TVs like Samsung, the latest generations of LG, it will read the light in your room and dim your television, or brighten your television, or bring your sound down. That's intelligence, not always ChatGPT. Some of it's hidden, and it's amazing when it's in play. You've got this sort of thing. The phones that you walk around with, a lot of them have nanotechnology built into it. So when you do your day-to-day scratches because it's hanging out in your handbag, it'll just self-heal during the day. It's pretty amazing technology out there. And then, of course, you've got the dystopian technologies like DALL-E, and you've got Midjourney, and you've got things you can't even recognize whether it's fake or real. This is not interesting to me. As a designer, as a creative, these are just tools for me, dude. I'm here for this. It's all those other subtle technologies where I get really excited. Intelligence. Sound. I mean, wow. You've got the category. Sound is incredible as a category because if you think about technology, who in here has a smart speaker? Yeah, it's a $10 billion industry. So we're talking about things that are screenless now. So it's not all just about visual. It's about these devices. And it gives you the ability to have these feedback loops, which is really important when you think about it. As I said, look out for brand sound. You're probably not going to be able to hear it in here. Can I get some volume up, please, on sound? Can you make sure the sound's up for this? Whose brand is this? You didn't hear it because it's on my laptop, apparently. Yes. Could I get yeah, here we go. Hang on. I'm going to go back and play that for you if you don't mind. Are we good? Are we friends? All right, let me go back. Let's try that. I got it. I got it. I got it. Maybe I don't got it. No, I lied to you. I apologize. It's Intel anyway. Hang on 1 second. Can I just make sure my sound is up? Hey. Well, how are we doing so far? You guys with me? One clap. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, right. Where did they lock sound on this bad boy now? Hang on 1 second, guys. Just bear with me, 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 bear with me. Yeah, okay. All right, rock and roll. External headphones. Make sure you give me some sound next time. Whoa! Sound is on! Yay! Sorry, man, that was... Are we all good? That blasted me and I'm not even facing it. This is where the future sound is headed. Wow, I was not expecting that. Okay. There are built-in technology with the Google headphones. There are also built-in technology with things like Mars. So if you speak to me in your language and I speak to you in English, it translates in real time. So when we think about the globe getting smaller, it's incredible what can happen. The only problem with this is it uses Google Translate, and Google Translate isn't the best thing. It's also very slow. So we have awkward silence we need to deal with. So anyhow, let's move on. Listen to this. The sound of this, can I get a little bit of volume on that, guys? The sound of this is actually the person's biometric sound of their chemotherapy killing the cancer cells. It creates their own audible soundtrack. That's incredible sound iconography, which apparently we're not going to hear. Isn't that amazing? So the sound he's hearing is the chemotherapy affecting his cancer cells. Phenomenal. Okay. Vision. Who in here has a television? Yay! I don't. So I love to go into hotels and watch TV and figure out what's going on. It's pretty amazing for me. But here's what's amazing. Bose. Bose have a pair of these headphone sunglasses. Anybody own these? They're called Vision Wear or something. So the sound bar is a speaker and it bounces off your jaw. And as you're walking downtown, the idea of this was it would tell me, Shingy, turn right, because there's a discount I was looking for. It didn't get released. Why? The pandemic came along and crushed it. Secondly, it has a data ethics issue in my mind. But I would also argue that I've already got voices in my head, dude. I do not need Bose in my head. So there's that issue for me. And then this. You've got these incredible smart systems that are designed for efficiencies and ergonomics. You've got amazing technologies that open and close when you want to. You've got this. You've got beautiful seamless screens. Oh, wow, you've got beautiful screens in your city. You've got wonderful screens that look like artwork. And when you're not watching TV shows, it dims down. And it feels like organic textures. You've got these incredible horizontal televisions that when you turn vertical, show all your social content at that point because we're seeing multi-screen technologies. You've got this. You've got AI built into TV programming. So as I'm watching a show, I can buy the shirt that they're wearing, as an example. So these real interconnected commitments now between the analog and the digital in a really unique way. I went to this launch. This is a TV called the Rollable by LG. It's not actually released yet, but it literally physically rolls out of the console in the floor. And when you don't want it, it rolls back down. And they said, any questions? I'm like, yes. How many times will that open and close before it breaks? They said about 55,000 times, which apparently is about 30 years of TV watching, which is pretty amazing. Okay. The only problem is, if there's any designers in here, any beautiful design technologists in here, please work on this. I mean, hey man, everything looks great, so you look behind the... True or false? Absolutely bloody true, man. Disgusting tech. So, let's talk about the thing that we would have talked about if we were here last year. Wasn't the metaverse hot for a second? God bless it. And I think it's incredible. It's just a hard place to invest in today. Why? Because it's just about immersive technologies. And the best way to participate in them today, in my opinion, is to figure out they're not new. Blockchain, not new. If you think about it, Roblox, not new. If you think about Bitcoin, not new. NFTs, not new. The only thing that might be kind of new is Fortnite. Not new. These technologies are old, but we're now seeing the realization for them because we do want to think about where we're headed. Anybody in here play Fortnite? Anybody here play Fortnite with a pair of VR goggles on? Anybody? No? Just Fortnite straight ahead. Okay. If you did, you could have seen something like this. This is why we love the idea of Web3 and we love the idea of Meta. Metaverse is powerful for people who are the content creators. So Ariana Grande can launch this song 50 countries simultaneously without ever getting on a plane. How dope is that? And you end up with an experience that's meant to feel like this. I want a quick show of hands who truthfully experiences the metaverse like this today.
Yeah.
Not a lot of us, right? Most of us experience the metaverse. There's 3 billion gamers, by the way. Most of us experience the metaverse like this, don't we? It looks like 8-bit. It feels a bit like 1997, dude. And that's me, by the way. That's me in the Meadowlands. If you want to go and hang out, that's me in Decentraland. I look freakier in person than I do in metaverse, where I'm meant to be a cool avatar. So please, as you build incredible emerging technologies, don't build things like this. This is a massive retailer, Walmart in the US. This is their AR experience, man. This is worse than real shopping. Do not build something that is worse than the real thing. It's got to be an elated experience, in my humble opinion. Amen. Virtual reality was meant to be a promise of this. All of these things are at your disposal. All of them. But today, it's hard because you feel like you're disconnected. I mean, I personally still rather watch you with the goggles on than the content in it. I really do. I love watching people just freak out with goggles on. It's phenomenal, man. You have your own party in your head. But the ability to choose your own adventure is coming. So when you look at Magic Leap, if you look at Quest 3, if you look at what people are doing with these technologies, they are building biometrics into the goggles. So when you put your goggles on, it will read your emotions and pivot the content to you that your emotions need. Because today, if you and I go see the same film, guess what happens? We see the same ending. But if you're feeling something different than I'm feeling, we can pivot and get different content. The problem today, very expensive, and it's non-shareable. But these technologies are coming, and they're gorgeous. I also like technologies when they involve people building it. Like this is what, Nintendo do for kids. They let you build the technology before you wear it, which I think is pretty amazing. It's alive and well in Asia. You've got a lot of these VR cafes out there where this one will allow you to have a schoolgirl feed you candy, for example, if that's your vice. This is the G-rated version, brothers and sisters. This is the kids' show today, so I'm here to say that there are different ways to experience VR, but anyhow. In China, they're developing these incredible tools. There's this magic mirror that you can walk around town with. It costs about $100, and it brings the physical and the digital experiences together. It's not an $800 smartphone that you need to experience some of these virtual experiences. And if you think about it today, what was really the promise was this, decentralized. This is what the web looks like today, but where it's headed is a place that feels like it's decentralized. So if one node goes out, the whole system supports itself. The skeletal structure is very non-linear. Awesome, but we're not there. We're not there for all of this stuff. We're miles away from it, but it's coming, and hopefully it'll come. The problem, the number one problem I have with all of this is provenance. Where did it originate? Who really owns it? Can it be authenticated? And if I lose my keys, can I get them back? The answer is no. And it also is not good enough. Why? I'm an NFT. Do you think the artist pinged me and said, Shingy, you are the reason I drew this, therefore you participate in the economy? Of course not. So it's busted, dude. So if you're in this space, please fix it. Web 1 was information, that's the age I grew up in. Web 2 was platforms. I worked for one of the largest platforms on planet Earth for many years. And then the last one was ownership. And we're not there yet because I promise you, not one of us here today are taking advantage of selling our data for your own ownership. You're selling your data anonymously. And we're going to change that. But here's the deal. It's all about web me, really. It's all about me, 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 me. Okay. If you're thinking about these emerging technologies, it's not a destination. It's a mindset. You need to participate in it today. If you're just wondering what that mindset is, just play some games. That's where the kids are hanging out. That's where you need to understand what it looks like. Okay. we talked about immersive technologies. This is immersive technology. This is a type of technology that if you're watching a real live game, you can put on a jersey and it could make you feel like the sports player. That's immersive technology. This is immersive technology. This is a 3D dress called the gaze. So this dress will read your biometric and it will change and morph based on whether you're trying to attract the person or distract the person standing in front of you. Pretty amazing, right? It's also the creepiest thing I've seen in 20 years. But we're headed that way. This is the most interesting thing I've seen for a long time. It's a plank of wood. It smells like wood, it acts like wood, it feels like wood because it's wood. And when I want it to give me a graphical user interface for something that I want, it presents it and then it goes away. How amazing is that? Technology just feels like it's a subtle part of your day-to-day. And everything that I've just explored with you has built-in intelligence. What about cars? So you love your cars here. They're amazing. For 10 years, I've called them the 16-foot mobile. And we know that all these smart dashboards are allowing us to have a service in them. That service today is called safety. That service in the future, as we have an influx of autonomy, will be about entertainment. And I predict that you'll be spending more money and more time on the services in your car than you will in your living room. Because that's more of a private experience than your living room when you're trying to connect with kids. And cars are absolutely gorgeous today. Humans are optional in these. You have autonomous everything. It's phenomenal. Then you've got bots. We're at a tech show. You're going to see lots of bots. Does anybody in here own a robot? You do. Is it a vacuum cleaner or something else? It's a vacuum cleaner kind of vibe. Here's what I think is happening. You got one of these bad boys? You can buy these robots today, by the way. Here's what I find fascinating about robots. Anybody have the A Boy Dog by Sony? It's been around for 15 years, man. Costs you $3,000. If you've got $3,000 to waste on dog technology, please go and buy a real dog. Go rescue one, man. It's a very cool experience than this thing, in my opinion. You've got Samsung. They're trying to come out with roller boys. They got this little tiny robot that goes around and wakes you up because you can't set an alarm correctly, apparently. It's pretty amazing technology we have out there. However, I would say that robots feel like this to me. They just feel really inaccurate, they feel really naive, and they feel like they're not really doing what we need them to do. So, look, here's the deal. At the end of the day, we're headed to an ecosystem. I'm going to wrap this up by telling you this. Some of you might have an LG refrigerator that you can change the panels to be color-coded to your rooms, or put pictures on it, or put incredible graphics on it. You have the ability to have these incredible refrigerator technologies, for example. However, you've got connected services. So you could have a refrigerator that reads your ingredients, and you use a service like Yumly that got bought by Whirlpool that will give you recommendations for food you can make with the stuff that's in your fridge. So you don't have to use creamer to keep on delivering stuff to your front door. And what will happen is, as you use that on your smart kitchen, where you've got this incredible worktop that allows you to be able to put a pot anywhere on the kitchen bench, and it'll suddenly become an induction stove. The induction fan above will have cameras in it that'll take photos of your food, send it to your wearable, and tell you what you should be eating because you've determined what your dietary habits are. That's the ecosystem that's available to you today, and all of it is powered by intelligence, as we call it, AI. And with that, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you very much for taking some time. I'm speaking again sometime tomorrow. I'm going to do a workshop. If anybody gives a rat's, that'd be amazing. And I'm going to be giving you some tools on that are anti-AI. But I appreciate you. Thanks very much. Take your vitamins. Enjoy the week. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. Really enlightening. I just wanted to ask you a couple of things. You said it, right? You kicked off at the beginning saying,
yes, sir,
and you were absolutely right. Last year, Web3, the metaverse, blockchain is exactly what everybody was talking about.
Right.
This year it's AI. Off stage, somebody was telling me they think it'll be back to metaverse next year. Do you want to sort of cast any bets as to where we'll be at this time in 12 months?
This time in 12 months, we're not going to be much further than where we are. We're still going to be talking about connecting humans. Whether it's metaverse, whether it's AI, whether it becomes new technologies, whether it's provision, whether it's... all of those things are all powered by the same thing. This industry loves to have a shiny object that we can amplify and articulate and try and raise an awareness around, but truthfully, there's about 20 of them. And they've all been rolling around for about 20 years, and we're just looking for those moments for them to take off.
So who are your favorites? Because obviously, some people are Apple advocates, others are Google, Meta, and so on. Who are your favorites in terms of those brands that have got that balance right between understanding innovation and technology is not being about the shiny new thing, but it's about delightful experiences, or it's about a better service, or whatever it might be?
Yeah, two things for me. One, I look for services that feel interconnected. One, it has to be ethical. So I want that transparency to understand what that is. I love some of those AI scripters that can read all the contracts that I want to read without me having to read them. So, really small, interesting startups that make things more efficient for me. And anything that is a connected ecosystem that makes my time more efficient. So if I'm able to calm down, and I'm not necessarily about the big 3 or 4 or 5, it's really about those things that help me connect. I really like services that allow me to develop those connections. So I remember 5 or 6 years ago, we'd use a language called if this, then that. Those really basic writing technologies for me is really powerful. So, if everybody could become a programmer, I'm here for that efficiency if that works. So it's less about 1 or 2 of them. I like all of them if it works to make me feel better. It makes me feel more disconnected, frankly. I don't want to be more connected. I'd rather just spend my time actually connecting with humans than feel like I'm completely distracted all the time.
And on that connectivity, I mean, you talked a lot about wearables. Again, have been around a sort of a decade-long journey, arguably, but maybe longer.
Yes, sir.
Where are you on the? We had a startup today, guy focusing on data, but he's actually also been experimenting with implanted technology. Where are you on the kind of that genuine biological interface between humans and technology? Where do you see that going?
Yeah, the biggest cynic in me would say that anything that's certainly embeddable biometrics, they've been around for a long time, by the way. The challenge I have is the training of those technologies, the battery life on those technologies, and my inability to cut the data off from those technologies when I find out it's actually not doing what I want it to do. Was the implant worth the experience? The last thing I would say is that we are only just now experiencing the exploration of what our human brain can capitalize upon. So if I have embedded technology, and that's great, the challenge for those technology companies today is this. They're still determining how that data gets delivered to you. Will it be lookup technology on my lens on my glasses? Will it be audible? Will it be a memory? Will it be a whisper? I'm not sure. All of those technologies are amazing, but we'll see which one actually wins. Yep. And it's quite scary. But if I'm looking at a beach and I find out there's a riptide going this way and the water's super cold and there's information that I can rent that gives me those little bits of data in a way that feels like I'm empowered and maybe it is memory, I'm here for it. But if it's another thing that I have to try and see if my glasses work and I already wear glasses, we have a long way to go, brothers and sisters. Thanks very much for having me, guys. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Well done, David. Thank you very much. Great to have you. That wraps up the first day, the opening day of Fintech Surge here at GITEX this year.